Welcome to A New You, where we are demystifying neurological challenges. I have here with me today Kevin Boyce, a consumer representative from a town near Warrnambool. Kevin, how are you going?
Good evening, yourself.
Yeah, well, you said a little town near Warrnambool. I thought it was Warrnambool. Where is it exactly?
About 38 kilometres east of Warrnambool, a little place called Palmua. It's got a general store, a little school and a pub.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Have you always lived there?
No, I'm originally from Melbourne, and I moved to the Western Districts. My job took me there at the time. I was working for a Swedish company. We were selling milk harvesting equipment to dairy farmers, and it took me to the Western Districts where more cows live. Yeah.
Did you enjoy the rural life out there? Or
yeah, it was completely different. I brought up my 3 young kids in the rural area, and I think they better outcomes for them in the country.
Yeah, I grew up in the hills. I know what living away from the city as a kid enables you to do. It's wonderful. We met at an Australian Federation of Disability Organisations study in entering into public transport as somebody with a disability, and there were people with all types of disabilities there. However, you sustained a brain injury also, didn't you?
That's correct, yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your life before you sustained your injury?
Well, as I said, I was working for a Swedish company. I've always been in sales and marketing, and it all finished one day. I was riding a motorbike on my country property and I wasn't wearing a helmet. I come off and I slid into a fence post, finished up with a traumatic brain injury. I had no memory after that of the event, but I was told I was taken to the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne, where I was kept in an induced coma for a little while. Then they transferred me to Bethesda Hospital in Melbourne, and then they sent me to the Royal Talbot Nut House. My apologies, Royal Talbot Rehabilitation Hospital, before sending me back home to Warrnambool for rehab. Yep.
And was it evident as soon as you became conscious that you'd lost your sight?
No.
So was that a progressive thing?
How can I explain? I had to learn to walk and talk again. And vision was the last thing, because I couldn't, nice way of putting it. What I was trying to put the picture together of what happened and everything, and it was all, my memory was like a lot of pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, but I couldn't put them all together to create a memory picture at all. It was very difficult, and but it took me a few years to get on top of it, and so actually, in hindsight, I think my traumatic brain injury was the best thing that ever happened to me.
That's a very, very familiar term.
Right.
I use it myself.
Yeah.
Can you let me know any strategies that you use to overcome the challenges that you're faced with every day?
Because of my memory problems, last thing I do every night, I use a screen reader on a laptop, and I dot point everything I did for the day and what I've got to do tomorrow. And the first thing, the following morning, I play it back to myself, and that sets me up on the day for the day. Yeah. No,
that's great. That's almost like keeping a diary.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do the same thing. I vociferously kept a diary and made sure that I was always at my appointments on time.
On time.
Yeah. Which is something that you learn very well after having an injury, because of how many medical appointments you have to go through.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. So can you tell us the story about how you got matched up with Tina, who is lounging down right there at the moment? Tell us how you got matched up with Tina.
I must say, I forgot to put a harness in the car when I left home this morning, so she's not a working dog today.
No,
she's just behaving herself. Yeah. I was picked up from Royal Talbot, which is not far from Godox, Victoria. I was interviewed by a neurological mobility instructor from Godox, Victoria, and I was taught to use the cane. But the problem I had with the cane was I kept hitting people in the wrong places with it, and but the biggest problem with the cane was I had to drive the cane myself, and I couldn't think of what else I was doing for the day. And then I eventually was trained with the guide dog, and the good thing about the guide dog is the guide dog does all the work for me. She knows she's got to stop at curbs, she stops at steps, and now she goes to places on verbal command. It means that I know that she's picking up things I miss visually, and she's looking after me, and it allows me to concentrate on what I'm actually doing for the day, or where I'm going, what places and interviews I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's not your first dog. How many have you had?
Tina's my fourth dog. Yep.
Is there a grieving process when you retire one and take another one up?
Well, my first guide dog, when she retired, I donated to an elderly person's home in Warrnambool to be a companion for the elderly folk there.
That would have been great.
Yeah, and my second dog, she worked, I can't think of her name now, but she worked until she just couldn't work anymore. Then my third dog was a little black dog called Spike, but he built up a phobia. He wouldn't work in busy areas. So he was retired to my guide dog instructor as a companion for his autistic son. Yeah. Sorry, that was my second dog. My third guide dog, Nez, she retired, and I've kept her as a pet at home.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So at least Tina's got company.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
You've brought a support worker today, Heath, and could you tell me about how vital his services are to you, and describe your relationship with Heath?
Heath has worked with me a few times. He brings me to Melbourne now because the rail service from Warrnambool to Melbourne's not working, has been working for 3 months. So I rely on me doing this worker to take me to Melbourne. And he's really good because we have discussions in the car about the meetings I'm going to, and he highlights questions for me and checks my answers for me. And then we have a debriefing on the way home in the car about the event for the day, which is really good. It's really excellent. Then I can put the thing on the shelf and park it. Yeah. And he's a pretty good driver. I don't think he's got any speeding fines yet. He tells terrible jokes. That's about it with it. Sorry, Heath, are you there?
Now, so how...
But the good thing about Heath is he listens to me and he doesn't assume anything.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he doesn't preempt answers or anything. He listens and doesn't assume.
How did now this is going off topic, going off script a little bit, but how has your injury affected your family life, and how did your kids take it, and how old were they when it happened?
Let me go backwards here. My accident happened on the 24th of December 1999. That's 25 years ago.
Same year.
My kids were that young, they didn't know any different. Well, they didn't realise what was happening. I think the biggest problem was with my wife. There was the new you. She had to get used to a new me, and I think I was very argumentative at the time because I didn't know what was going on in my life, and I caused a few ups and downs, but she's still with me. It got to one stage I was going to put an ad in the local newspaper and try and sell her, but never got one reply, so I'm still with her.
Wow. Well, you and I were rebirthed in the same year. I had my injury on the 15th of May, 99.
Oh, it's very sad.
Yeah, no, it's not sad. No, it's a new life. It's a new life, and it's a new perspective. That's the way I look at it. I saw that you offer end-of-life counselling. What brought you to that, and how do you qualify for end-of-life counselling?
Well, how it all started was I've been a community advisor to several hospital boards in Melbourne. At this time I was with consumer advisor to Peter McClellan Cancer Centre. The reason I was there was my mother spent her last 3 years of her life at Peter Mac, and when she passed away there was no counselling offered to her husband or any of us kids, and after working with them now, we have Peter Mac has adopted a policy now that there's end-of-life counselling for all family members and kin prior. Yeah, it's very important.
It's extremely important because you're losing so much.
Yeah.
What's it like being blind and in a country town?
I hear a lot better.
Yeah?
Yeah, hear a lot better. No, look, I can sum up my disability this way is that, and as you know, I do a lot of advocacy work in the disability area, but I'm generally finding now it's not the person with the disability who's got the problem. It's the normal people amongst the society that are scared to communicate with you in case they think they're going to say the wrong thing. So they dodge you, and it's very sad. But you know, I've got a good network of friends and people in my area, and I seem to cope all right with them. Yeah.
So you're not so isolated then?
No, not so isolated. No.
Because I know brain injury, a side effect of brain injury is extreme isolation.
Well, I'll be honest with you. When I come out of it's called PTA, post-traumatic amnesia, I was suicidal, and it was Lifeline that saved my life. And to help me out, my local GP put me on a heap of depression medications. But all they were doing for me, they were saying, Kev, if you want to jump in front of a car, just do it.
Seriously?
Yeah. And so I went back to my doctor. He tried different formulas or brands of things, but I remember Selby said to me, he said, Kevin, you might remember this, but before your accident, you were a smoker. I said, yes. He said, I want you to take up smoking, not cigarettes, but smoke cigars. First thing in the morning when you get up, have your cigar and a cup of coffee and set your brain up for the day. And last thing at night, another cup of coffee and a cigar. Well, I'm still having the cigar in the morning and the night time, but I've replaced the coffee with a something more proper, you know, a glass of wine or a beer or 2 or 3.
So, I'm simmy. A cigar.
Yeah.
What?
Would you care for one?
No, no, thank you.
They're only little. They're only tiny little things.
No, it's okay, lovely. You can put that back. Put it back in your pocket. What's a cigar going to do? How is that?
Well, the thing about cigars, there's no saltpeter in a cigar like a
There's
cigarette.
no what?
Saltpeter. That's the chemical in the cigarette that keeps it burning.
Ah.
With the cigar, you've got to keep sucking on it to keep it going. Yeah. So
that means you're getting...
They're all going to kill you, but
Yeah.
they're going to kill you a bit slower, yes.
Well, that's always fun, isn't it?
Look, you're only in this life for once, aren't you? You only get one go at something, so you might as well enjoy it.
Or one go and remember it anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming in, Kevin. It's been a lovely conversation. And
Thanks very
see
much.
you later, Tina.